Hello, and welcome to another episode of Some of Our Parts, the podcast where two friends talk about the movies that add up to make us who we are. I'm Lindsay,
And I'm Jim.
and this week Jim picked our movie. So, Jim, tell us what you picked and why.
Picked I think, an iconic movie, and I think it's resonated, but came out in 1971. And if I'm not mistaken, I think it was Clint Eastwood's first starring role in a non-Western and in an American-made movie, not an Italian Western. It's Dirty Harry, the original from 1971. So I remember very vividly this movie coming out, and my brother and I went to go see it with my dad. And then this was one of those things where you went at a holiday. I believe it came out, I think it came out around Christmas time in 71.
Mm.
And just made a big impact. Of course, Clint Eastwood had made, the Westerns, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and a lot of those other ones that had been on Rawhide on TV. So he was my dad really liked him as an actor. And he'd been in a couple other movies, I think, where Eagles Dare and so on with Richard Burton, but this was the one where he was the lead, and this character was and this started a whole series of movies. I think there's four of them altogether. So yeah, it made a big impression, and then it was always the big thing about Harry's weapon of choice was, Harry had to have something different from everybody else. So Harry carried a Smith and Wesson 44 Magnum, which he proudly announces is the most powerful handgun in the world. So,
Yes.
so that was the other thing that was the claim to fame for the movie was, and I'd read, knowing about this, that there was when this movie came out, you couldn't find one for love nor money because everybody was buying them up because if Clint carried one, it was good enough for them. So that, or if you did find one, you paid three or four times what it was supposed to sell for. So, but anyway, so it was, like I said, a good movie. And the other thing I remember about this movie distinctly is when the second one came out, and I believe the second one was, I think, Magnum Force, but I'm not sure. My brother and I went by ourselves because they released it as a double header. So they showed Dirty Harry, and then they showed the Magnum Force. So it was it was when they lumped them together. So it was kind of and that was, I think it was one of the few times that my brother and I, or one of the first times we went by ourselves without an adult taking us to the movies. So, but anyway, so it made a big impression on me, and certainly I like Clint Eastwood, and he's had a long and lengthy career in movies, not only as an actor but as a director. So, but this was one of his first ones that I think were, like I said, he created or made this iconic role, and then started a line of his character, or that type of character, the silent, strong type. Has his own sense of right or wrong and justice, and that sort of carries over, I think, to other roles he's done, and the outlaw Josie Wales, and so all the and but he's made some other movies and so on, but I think he still sort of carries that sort of sense of being a loner, and being apart from society,
hmm
even
hmm
in his comedies like Every Which Way But Loose and Any Which Way You Can. He was just sort of a guy that walks to his own pace.
Yeah.
So now, have you seen the movie before this?
No,
Oh, okay.
I had not. I had not. I am, like, I think most people in the world, familiar with the, like, you got to ask yourself, do I feel lucky? Well, punk, do you feel lucky? That whole
Yeah.
thing. But yeah, I hadn't seen it. I don't think I've really seen many Clint Eastwood movies. I've seen Million Dollar Baby,
Okay.
and then I might have seen Escape from Alcatraz.
All right. What about like any of the other recent ones like Gran Torino, or no,
Nope.
or
Nope.
any of his other westerns?
I don't know that I've barely watched any westerns in my life. So I
Oh,
truly
okay.
think that, like, Million
Oh,
Dollar Baby might
might be
be
it.
it.
Okay.
Potentially Escape from Alcatraz only because that sounds familiar.
Okay.
But yeah, I think that might
Okay.
be it.
All right. So,
Um,
what was your overall impression of the movie?
I think that it was like a good, entertaining, like crime thriller action kind of movie. I
Mm-hmm.
think it, like I enjoy shows like Criminal Minds and like the Law and Order shows, and I think it's in that vein of
Mm-hmm.
like, you know, we know that there's like a killer out there. We got to put together the clues and find them. There's always an issue when it comes to like bringing him to court because the cops always do something illegal. And then, going from there, trying to like uh, bring him to justice
Mm-hmm.
in quotes, whatever that looks like. So I think that's like a good formula, and I think it was entertaining for me,
Okay.
and I think the guy that played the serial killer was uh well, I don't know if he was a serial killer. How many people did he kill?
Well, as far we know, he killed
He killed
three,
three.
three. So, I mean, I was
Technically,
gonna.
you could be a serial killer. You're supposed to have a cooling
Well,
off period or whatever, but
oh yeah, because he didn't. Yeah, because he didn't kill.
perhaps you could be a spree killer. I don't know, um, but whatever. The sniper,
Yeah,
although he didn't also snipe everybody, he sniped two people that we knew of. But it
right.
did seem like that the one that we see at the beginning maybe wasn't the first one, just based on
It could very well be that
how they
that might. Yeah,
reacted.
that he sort of. Yeah, that might have been not the very first one, but that yeah,
Yeah.
a continuation. So.
Yeah. And I will say, based on my Criminal Minds knowledge, usually when a killer reaches out to the press, they've been doing it and don't feel like they're getting enough
Enough.
attention.
Oh, okay. So.
So it could have been that that was not his first one, but he's like, hey, I'm here
Hmm.
and you're missing me. Pay me $100,000. I also read that it was like a little bit inspired by the Zodiac killer,
So
even though the
I was
Zodiac killer did not like, he killed people up close.
right, but
Um,
there is a similarity because he calls himself Scorpio.
Scorpio.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as opposed to Zodiac. So,
Yeah. They just narrowed in. They picked one sign of the Zodiac
exactly. So, yeah.
for it
So,
to be. But yeah, I thought that it was an entertaining movie. I thought that he was like really creepy. That guy. Just the way that he acted and like said things, and, like just his like face, all of it.
oh yeah, he
He
well, he was
really,
kind of a odd looking person anyway.
yeah.
And with the and of course, it was the highlight of the '70s fashion with he had the peace symbol belt buckle, and he
Mm-hmm.
would wear the denim shirt with a tie, and
Yeah.
and that sort of thing. So, and just your overall impression of what do you think? There's a lot of people that think Clint Eastwood was kind of a or is kind of a wooden stiff actor. Did you get that impression from this performance or?
Um, I mean, I think it like fit though. I mean, does he give a range of emotions in this movie? No. Are we getting range? No, no, no. But also like it doesn't call for that. So I think in some ways it's like, I don't know. It's hard to say. I need to see like more. I need to watch Million Dollar Baby again, maybe.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
because I don't think that he was like wooden, but I think that like this character is like a stern, gruff man of
Hmm.
few words kind of guy. So I think it just like goes.
You never get the feeling that there's any joy. I don't think in Harry's life. And then Harry's either just blasé or he's mad.
Yeah.
About
He's
most things.
even occasionally like kind of cracking a joke, but like
Hmm.
not, it doesn't sound joyful.
Yeah.
Like when he's like, he got shot at the beginning in the robbery and he's getting fixed up and he's like, he's taking his pants off because he
Yeah.
doesn't want them to cut his pants. He was like, "I know these are $28. You can look away if you're uncomfortable." But it like wasn't like it's like it doesn't. It's like a joke, but it just like doesn't sound like a joke because he just like there's no like mirth in
No,
his
no.
countenance.
And you sort of get the feeling that he's been through this a couple of times when he's talking to the doctor, because the doctor is like, you can't, you got to find another line of work. I can't keep patching you up like this,
Right.
and so it's evidently not Harry's first time in an emergency room,
Right.
getting whatever, sewn up or something. But yeah, I thought that was, and no, it's
Hmm.
$28. You're not cutting these pants.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah. I will say my main gripe with the movie, I even putting aside that like Harry is like a kind of a dirty cop, but I think that's usually the archetype of like cops, right? Like we have like Elliot Stabler, right? Who's beating
mhm,
people up every other episode of Law and Order SVU, but you also like root for him because he's like doing it in service of like
right, of the greater
the
good,
greater good.
right?
But yeah, so I think that like, without Harry, maybe there's no Elliot Stabler. So it's like I can put that aside because I also like understand I don't have like a view of the police that is like idealized, you know?
Yeah, that they're
I'm not expecting officer friendly when I watch a movie like this.
or that they're all knights in shining armor, and
Exactly.
yeah, that
I'm like, yeah, of course he's gonna do something illegal.
yes,
That happens every other. We were talking. It happens every other episode of Law and Order, and so every other episode of Law and Order, the DA is in the judge's chambers with the defense, like, oh yeah, they beat the crap out of my client, so the confession they got was coerced. We have to
right.
throw it out, and then they're like, oh okay, yeah, we do, and also like everything that came after that is fruit of the poison trees. We have to throw it out. So like that's to be expected for me. The thing that really I was like, why so many naked women? For no reason at all.
Disclaimer: Jim did not pick this movie because of the amount of naked women in the movie. I'm just putting it out there. I'm just letting you know. So,
Like the 70s, full of naked women in movies and like serial killers in real life, I guess. Like that was just life in the 70s.
honestly, it was sort of like there. It really was. It was, and now for the life of me, maybe that's why my dad wanted to go see the and then just took us along as an excuse to go, oh, honey, I'm taking the kids to the movies, so we liked it because of it, that I was 14 years old, so I mean,
Mhm.
yeah, I knew what a naked woman looked like, but we liked it, because there was, cops and shooting, and
Running, jumping, shooting.
yeah, and cars, and
Hmm.
all this, and here, is Harry going to get the bad guy, or and stuff like that. So, but um, yeah, so I was curious about your take on his range of or his performance and stuff, and then about the movie itself. So, and I think after watching this movie, I haven't seen it in a long time. I forgot how much nudity was in the movie.
Yeah. And as I said to you, my real main gripe, again, all the naked women were like kind of pointless, but especially, and we'll talk about it when we go through the movie, but there is a point when they talk about a missing 14-year-old. Spoiler alert, she's murdered, and they pull her naked body out of like a manhole. And it's
Mhm,
like, did we need, when you told us multiple times that she was a child,
mhm,
did we then need to see her naked?
right,
That's my only, like,
yeah,
I don't
and
know. That just
and
why?
and it's more than just it is more than just a glance.
Right.
It's
We
it's a
watched them fully pulling her out, then they're like holding her like
and then
dead naked body
and then
there.
putting her on a stretcher
Then
to
put it, yeah. So it's like the whole process. It's
right, exactly.
gratuitous. It's
Hmm.
not like she's just laying there and then we see them cover her up or something,
Exactly.
which
Yeah.
I think like could have been fine.
Hmm.
But I was just like, why did we
I
need
no,
this?
you're right. I
So
mean,
that was my main like gripe with it. I know that a lots of other people have gripes with the sort of like dirty cop aspect of it. Like I was reading, that a lot of people like Siskel, Ebert, like a lot of movie reviewers at the time were like, great movie, like like not a great like message,
yeah,
right? Like they
not
were
a
like,
great
this is
example to
very
set for the
like
kids.
fascist
Yeah.
of them. So like both like Siskel and Ebert said that, and then some other critics whose names I can't remember, but that I'm like not super hung up about because again I watch other cop shows and that's always
Hmm.
what happens.
Well, at least he
But
wasn't on the take. It's not like he was,
right, he
taking
wasn't
bribes,
like,
or killing
yeah,
people for
the
money, or
police chief in The Godfather, like he's
right.
not him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but like yes, do I watch shows where people's constitutional rights are routinely violated? I expect that
Mhm.
at this point from like a movie or show about like a cop. Um, but yeah, some of the nudity, I was just like, okay,
Yep, it's yeah,
what is the point of this?
there well, like I said, we'll get it. There's a part where they go into a strip club, and so you could see maybe that's okay. That's where this
Right.
guy goes, and so you show whatever that is, and so on. But
Hmm.
yeah, they do seem to linger. And then there's other couple of other scenes
Yeah.
where is
Yeah.
this is this
I
is
could
this
buy the
trip
strip
really
club too.
necessary?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I could buy
because
the strip club because it's like, okay, this is the type of person this person is.
right,
Okay, fine.
yeah, because
The
he's a
other
perv.
ones, right. We just see like random women like being naked like in their apartments. And it's like, why are we like lingering on this?
Beginning to wonder if that was just San Francisco in the 1970s. I don't know.
That's what
So
I think I actually wrote that note down with the one naked woman. I was like, is this supposed to like be showing us like the hippie vibe of
could
San
be,
Francisco?
that
Which like again, I think like one of them would get the point across, but that's just me. I don't know. They
the
really had to
song
hammer it home.
the song does say if you're going to San Francisco, be sure to wear flowers in your hair. It doesn't say anything about wearing clothes.
Well, there we go.
So
There we go.
yeah, so as long as you have flowers in your hair, you're okay. So
There we go.
the rest is optional. So well, do you
Yeah.
want to start us off through the pace of the movie then with
Sure.
the introduction?
Yes. Well, we start with a murder. So we were looking through crosshairs at a woman going for a swim in a rooftop pool, thankfully in a bathing suit.
I've just get. By the way, not naked.
She is clothed. She's in a bathing suit.
She,
Although at first I was like, why are we watching this woman undress? But she only undressed to a bathing suit, then she dove in. It was very clear that she was about to be killed because we're watching her through crosshairs, through a scope. Yeah, I wrote, is the sniper going to shoot her while she's swimming? Yep. And then Clint Eastwood shows up.
mm,
He arrives at the crime scene. She's still laying there, dead. We watched her get shot. She got shot in like the back of the shoulder, and
yeah,
which
I guess
didn't
it
feel like it
went.
would like kill you, but
Maybe
I
it
don't
went
know.
through a lung or something. I don't know.
Maybe. Or
Yeah.
she like she drowned. I don't know.
Oh, that could be because it did kind of show her like kind of
Yeah. She was
struggling
kind
in the
of
water. Yeah.
yeah. And she was in the water when she got hit. So
Yep.
in any case, she is dead one way or another. Harry Callahan, Inspector Harry
Spectre.
Callahan. I almost called him Detective Inspector, but that's what they call the British police.
British. Yeah.
Um,
Or detective sergeant.
yes. So Inspector Harry Callahan, nicknamed Dirty Harry, which we'll get into. They talk about why that's his nickname later, but she oh, sorry, lost my train of thought.
Oh.
He's there to try to figure out what happened. So they can clearly see the shot came from this other roof. So he goes across and goes up to the roof. We get some nice shots of San Francisco just to establish where we are. We can see the
Yeah.
bay and the bridge. As he is on this other roof, he's kind of scoping out to see, he finds a note that the killer left behind. As we discussed, this is kind of reminiscent of the Zodiac killer who like sent letters to the press.
Hmm.
Except he sent them like he would send like ciphers and stuff, but this guy just sends a note. He's Scorpio is his name, and he wants $100,000. So this note is shared with like obviously police leadership, with the mayor, and the mayor's like, we're just gonna pay him. Harry is like, no, like let me go, because there's sort of like a drop site and like all of that. He wants to just go and catch the guy, but the mayor's
Right.
like, no, we're just gonna pay him because he says if you don't pay me, he's gonna kill a priest and he's gonna kill an N-word. He's gonna kill a
Hmm.
black person. So yeah, he's like, let's just go get the guy, but everybody's like, no, 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 we can't. They don't want to like take the risk, basically, of these people getting killed. We also get a little hint of Harry's history.
Hmm.
The mayor kind of calls him out for like trouble he's been in. Uh, he was like shot a guy. Apparently, the guy was trying to rape a woman.
Sorry, I'm
And
not laughing about that. I'm laughing about why,
what do you say?
the aftermath.
Well, the mayor is like, how did you know he was trying to rape a woman? And he was basically like, when a naked guy with a knife and a heart on is chasing a woman, I think it's pretty easy to figure out what's happening. That's not the exact line, but
Yeah, yeah, it was
that's the
along those.
overview of what he
Yeah,
says.
yeah, because he goes, how did you know he was intending to rape her? And that's, it's like, here he goes. Yeah, it was kind of obvious. So, uh,
Yeah. So then Harry's going about his business. He's going to have a hot dog at a little diner. And then he notices that there's across the street at a bank, there's a car just hanging out in front. He doesn't even look. He asks the diner chef guy. He's wearing
yeah,
like a chef hat, but he's like making hot dogs. He's like, has that car moved? Like, is it still there? It was still there. He's like, is the car on? I like this part. The guy's like, how would I know if the car's on? He's like, is there something coming out of the exhaust pipe? He's like, oh yeah, yeah, it is. And then he gives him a number, which is presumably for like the police station.
yeah.
Call them, tell them there's a 211 in progress. So it's a robbery. And then it's too late because he hears some bang bangs.
And the alarm.
Yes, and the
Yeah.
alarm. And then so he goes out, starts shooting from like across the street. He picks off one guy, another dude dives into the getaway car, and I think he shoots two of them. Because then there's the guy that's still laying there. He kills one
Hmm.
guy, shoots
Yeah.
another dude dives into the getaway car, and he shoots the driver. So then the car crashes into like a fruit stand and a fire hydrant and like tips over. Harry also gets shot in this exchange. The fake blood they use is very red. So for a
It, it,
moment I was
it
like, is that
looks like,
ketchup?
nail polish, I thought.
Right.
Yeah.
I was like, is that ketchup from his hot dog or is that blood?
Hmm.
And then later he like is in the hospital. So I was like, I guess it was blood. But the fake blood they use is like is very fake. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
The fake blood technology had not perhaps evolved to where it is today
Exactly.
in
So for all we know,
1971.
it probably was really ketchup or nail
Yes.
polish or a combination thereof. So,
Yeah. So then he walks over. There's a guy he shot who is still alive. He shot him, looks like in the leg.
hmm.
He goes up to him and he says the line. Do you know it? Do you know it by heart?
Oh yeah, yeah. So do you want me to do it? So,
You can do it.
well,
Take it
the
away.
shotgun is within reach of the guy, and
Yes.
Harry goes, he goes, now I know what you're thinking. Did he fire 5 shots or did he fire 6? Well, in all this excitement, I kind of lost count myself. So what you have to ask yourself is, do you feel lucky? Well, punk, do you? Do you feel lucky? And the guy, then no, he doesn't feel lucky.
Yeah. Well,
He sort
Harry
of,
starts to walk away, and then the guy's like, wait, I gotta know.
I gotta know.
And instead of just like shooting into the air, Harry points the gun at this man. And lucky for him, click, it was empty. I
And
was like, see, this is perhaps why people have a problem with you, Harry. You were about to shoot this man you already shot in the head for no reason than to
um,
like make a point.
well, Harry knew he was out. I mean, Harry was counting, but the one thing, when I first saw the movie and you saw this scene and everything, you think, oh, that was great and everything. But in real life, a police officer would have immediately reloaded his gun.
Also that.
Yeah, as soon as, because he knew he was out, so he knew he had to reload. But I was just,
Mhm.
for whatever reason, Harry just took his time and strolled over, and then
Right.
But anyway, so. But yeah, that's that one, and then in the later movie, there's the other iconic line. You know,
Yes.
um, Go ahead.
Well, he says just this. Oh yeah, he does say that. But I was gonna say he says this exact line
Oh,
again
yeah.
later.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, this was the catchphrase for this movie. So,
Yes.
anyway, so thank you for letting me do that. So, I mean, it's,
Of course, of course.
yeah,
I don't. I would have had to read it.
now
So
that's burned in every kid's or every guy's memory, who's ever seen
sure.
this movie, at least 15 times.
Yeah, I also
So,
feel like that's a line that people like misquote, like, "Are you feeling lucky, punk?" or like whatever. There's like always some slight variation to it. But yeah, so as we said, it actually was blood. The very bright red stuff on Harry's pants was blood. He goes to get a doctor to fix it up, and it's implied that this is not the first time
mhm.
that this has happened.
And
Um,
also, well, I was going to say, I know from the fashion time at that time, so people are probably thinking, well, if he's got blood on his pants, it won't come out. Don't forget, people, these are polyester pants. You can wash them in hot boiling water. They won't shrink and they'll come out. The blood will come out. Trust me.
there you go.
I know.
Um, yes. And there's someone, I don't know if it's the doctor that asked about his wife,
Yeah, the
but
doctor
he,
says something about him coming over for dinner with his wife.
yeah, and he says he doesn't have a wife. So I'm like, okay, he's either he has a wife who's dead or he's divorced. And I could see either being a possibility because he doesn't seem like a ray of sunshine, frankly.
You think he might be tough to live with?
A little bit, a little bit.
Little bit, little bit. You don't think
Um,
there'd be any of that sparkling dinner conversation going on?
right?
How was your
Yeah,
day?
a lot of real emotional connection with that guy.
Mhm, exactly.
So Harry gets assigned a new partner to work on the Scorpio case. It's a younger Latino guy named Chico Gonzalez. In case you were confused if he's a Latino guy, his name is Chico Gonzalez. Harry doesn't want a partner. One, because he's loner is his vibe. Secondly, his partners have not historically like done well. He's got one, his most recent partner is in the hospital, and he's like, it's fine. He can just be my partner and he'll get out of the hospital at some point.
Yeah, he
One
should be
is
out in a couple of
dead.
weeks, right?
Like, it's just like, what befalls the partners of this man? I wouldn't like, if I were Chico, I would be like, oh,
Yeah,
this is no, 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 no.
yeah. Do
But
you have something opening in traffic?
exactly. Desk duty,
Yeah,
perhaps?
I write parking tickets all day long. So,
Um, and we learn, apparently he wants DiGiorgio or whatever, who's like a big, like older Italian guy. But that guy informs Chico, it's okay. Harry is not like racist. He hates everybody. But they do say especially Mexicans,
yeah,
which I think was
especially
a joke for Chico.
it was, but
But yeah, Harry is like equally discriminatory against all
equal
people.
opportunity. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and he refers to the older detective endearingly as Fatso. So he calls him Fatso.
Yeah. And that's the guy he wanted to work with.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, that he said, yeah, he would work with. So that
Yeah.
tells you something.
So then we cut to some young blonde guy. And at first it's like, who is this guy? Well, turns out he's Scorpio because he's opening up the newspaper to see the response to his message. He had asked the city, to put it in like the personal ads in the paper. And it's basically like, we're going to pay you, but we don't have the money yet. Which I guess $100,000 in 1971 money is a lot. Because there was part of me that's like, a big city like San Francisco doesn't have like access to some sort of like reserves or something.
Who knows? But yeah, the mayor treated it like he thought he was asking for $10 million. So
Right.
because he
Like,
kept saying, "Where am I going to get $100,000?" It's like, dude, write a check.
I was like, what's your budget?
I know.
Like,
Yeah, for San Francisco, come on.
right. It's not, and
You
like San
probably
Francisco in 1971 was not like Mayberry. It was a big city then too.
exactly. So yeah, they
The
rebuilt after the
money how you like
fire.
build a bridge, like where
Yeah.
that came from.
Uh huh.
Anyways, I was like, well, I guess he's back at it because they're
Yeah.
not paying him yet.
Yeah.
So
He's not happy.
yeah, so he's up on roofs, scoping, looking around, trying to find his next victim. He identifies a black guy, uh, and then he's trying to put his gun together. But the police they have helicopters because they know
Hmm.
he's on rooftops. The helicopter spots him, so he is not able to shoot that guy. But the helicopter people don't catch him. He packs his stuff up and leaves. So they've seen him, they have a description,
Hmm.
but he's still in the wind. They share this description later. That's why I knew, I was like, they're not going to catch him.
Because this
It's
is early in the movie
too
yet.
early in the movie. We're like 15 minutes in. Too early to
Exactly.
catch him.
Right.
We can't
So,
catch him yet. So he gets away. That night, Harry and Chico are driving around canvassing
mhm.
to look for the guy because they're like, okay, he's like a white guy. He's wearing brown, whatever. Of course, it's the 70s. He's wearing brown, and he's got a tan like suitcase.
Yeah, don't be suspicious and walk around, like, oh, and it's like a huge suitcase too. It's like an overnight, what we used to call an overnighter. It was like,
Right. It
a
looked like one
big,
of those big like American Tourister.
yeah, like a big leather, like
Mhm.
the one that you would pack for a week's worth of clothes in it. So, but I
Yeah.
guess that's what he carries his rifle in. So,
Yeah. So Harry and Chico are driving around and then they see a guy with a suitcase. Which like, well, Chico sees him and then Harry's like, where? I don't see him.
you get the feeling that maybe Harry's eyesight isn't too good
Well,
at
Clint
night.
Eastwood doesn't ever open his eyes all the way. He's always squinting no matter what. That's his,
but
maybe
but
open your eyes, Harry.
I,
Also, I will say, this is usually a complaint I have with modern things. It was a little dark sometimes. It was hard for me to see also.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
Because then they go down this dark alley. I was like, San Francisco they don't have lights
I,
in San Francisco?
maybe not in that neck of the woods, but
I
that
guess.
or Harry's headlights are terrible.
Right.
Yeah,
But anyways, they see him, they get out, they sort of like give chase. Harry goes one way, Chico goes another way. Harry sees the guy go into a house, so he like hops on the trash can and is peering in, and it's just a guy who got back from a trip.
right.
And he opens his suitcase to give his girlfriend something, and then she inexplicably takes off her poncho and we see her boobs. For
Yeah,
what reason? I could not tell you.
could not tell you.
What was the
Don't
point? I was like, is he giving her a new shirt?
I don't know. I don't know.
Like,
A new poncho maybe. I don't
right. I
know.
thought he was gonna like hand her a shirt. Like
Mm,
be like, look what I bought you.
no, I got
And
the feeling
no,
that wasn't going to happen. So I
no,
had
it
that
didn't
feeling.
happen. I
Yeah.
don't know.
So
Maybe I don't
yeah,
know.
I think he missed her.
I guess so. Well, then of course Harry is like clanging on there. It's like the old metal trash cans. So he's clanging around out there, and everybody's like, "What?" And then a bunch of men are like, "That guy's a peeping tom," and so they start beating up Harry, and he's like, "I'm a cop, I'm a cop," and they're like, "Yeah, whatever," and they're beating him up. And then Chico comes, gun drawn, and is
What-
like, "You are assaulting a police officer.
Yeah.
Stop it!" And he's ready to arrest them, but Harry's like, "Let him go."
They were doing the right thing. And you, when you think about it, Harry's supposed to be this tough cop and stuff. And I realized, but there was like five older guys and they were just beating the
Yeah,
crap out of him.
I know.
But
He
maybe
didn't.
Harry didn't want to like, take him on because he knew that, he was caught in a wrong situation. It didn't
Yeah.
look good.
No. I will say hand-to-hand combat later on also
Not his
not his
forte.
strength.
No,
He loves
no.
that the revolver is really his
Now you know why Harry carries the world's most powerful handgun.
yeah, because he does not have the world's most powerful hands.
Until you get to Every Which Way But Loose, where he's a street fighter.
Okay. Well,
Yeah. So just saying.
it's not Harry though.
No, 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 no. It's
Clint
not as
Eastwood I
Harry.
can't speak for. I mean, he's teaching people how to box in Million
Yeah,
Dollar
that's
Baby,
that. I
right?
was going. Yeah,
But
yeah.
Harry
Harry,
Callahan
not so much.
does not have hands. They hear sirens though,
Mm,
and they get moving, and you think it's going to be another shooting, right? You think somebody's been killed, but no, it's another guy on a roof. They originally thought it was the sniper, but this guy's actually trying to kill himself.
yep.
Um,
He's a jumper.
yes. So they send Harry up to talk to him.
Naturally.
Of course. This is exactly who I would want to talk me down from trying to kill myself. And we see Harry's method is basically to like be rude and insult this man to the point that the man is, first of all, distracted from trying to
Right.
kill himself. And he like lunges at Harry. Harry punches him out and gets him in like the little, fire department, like ladder crane.
The cherry
and
picker.
yeah, the cherry picker, and takes him down. down on the ground.
But yeah, Harry's like describing like what it would look like when this guy jumps, because he says, "Oh, he goes, I need your name and your phone number because once you hit the ground, there's not going to be able to identify you." So, and
Happy Suicide Prevention Month, everybody. Here's a
so,
method.
sorry, I'm not laughing at the well, I just Harry had his own way of doing things. So
Harry then is like, this is why they call me Dirty Harry, because they give him all the dirty jobs that nobody else wants to do,
exactly. So
including punching a suicidal man in the nose.
yeah. So
But yeah,
although
he
there was
gets.
a point where he could have easily fallen, because the guy, like Carrie punches him and he doesn't really, and then he grabs him, instead of
Yeah.
holding on to him. So
Imagine if he punched him and the guy still fell. Oh
I
my
know,
god.
right? Yeah, like well, at
They
least he
probably would
was,
have fired Harry at that point. It
at
seemed
least,
like he was probably teetering on the edge for a while.
least he, least he got, he would have been unconscious when he hit the ground, so
That's true.
wouldn't have hurt. So,
Yeah. But anyways, he did save a guy's life, I think that's sort of the vibe of this. It's like, well, do the ends justify the means?
I mean, it turned out okay for in this instance, other
Yeah.
than the fact the guy got punched in the face and was knocked unconscious, but
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Although, well, I guess that flies in the face of us saying that Harry can't fight. Although that guy
well,
wasn't fighting against him. he can
exactly,
he
and
can
he
land a
was
sucker punch.
he would, yeah, the guy was trying to hang on with both hands to the cherry picker thing. So Harry didn't really have, come on, he couldn't miss.
That's true. That's true. That
Yeah,
was a little bit of a sucker
I could
punch.
have
So
probably knocked the guy out. So I'm just
same,
saying.
same. It would
So
have hurt my hand, but I could have done
oh
it.
yeah. Have you ever hit anybody
No,
with a fist? It hurts.
no,
If you
not
really
without
without
hovers. I
gloves.
used to do karate, so we
Oh,
wore
okay. I was going,
hovers.
I was in a
So
fight one time, and then I was like, man, that hurts. You hit
yeah,
somebody especially if you hit them in the face.
there's a lot of bones there.
Exactly. Yeah. And they're much bigger bones than what are in your hand. So
Yeah,
so just saying.
yeah. Well, moving away from light topics, the sniper kills a black child
Yeah. A
next.
young boy.
Yeah, he's 10 years old. Presumably he shot him in the face is the impression you get, because they're like,
Well, they
they
say that,
uncover and they're
yeah,
like they keep the mother away, and
right. And they don't show
they don't show it,
it on film
and you can see like Harry's reaction is like, oh,
Well, and
so
then Chico
yeah, yeah, so you can
gets
tell.
ill. Yeah, that and Harry tells him, he goes, "Welcome to homicide."
Yeah, they know where he was, they know what rooftop he was on because there were shell
Mm-hmm.
casings there, and so they think that he might go back to that rooftop and now target a priest, because they're like, he was probably just up on this rooftop looking to, because it's near a church, it's in
Mm-hmm.
full view of a big church, and I guess like the black neighborhood. So he was like, they're like, he's probably going to come back to this rooftop because it's sort of the best of both worlds, and we'll stake out. And they have a priest who's willing to like be a decoy.
Right.
Which, like, I would, that's a lot of faith you're putting.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of priest, a lot of faith you're putting in the San Francisco Police Department to get this guy before he shoots you.
Well, you did hear Harry told Chico. He said, "Of course, we offered to, have someone stand in for the priest, and but he said no, he would do it." And Chico goes, "Well, who was going to stand in?" And Harry looks at him. He goes, "Who do you think?" It would have been Harry.
Yes.
Harry would have been a priest. So
Yes. So Harry and Chico are up there doing surveillance. At this point, first of all, we have like a sort of like, I don't know, jazz flute. That's what it made me think of. It made me think of that scene from Anchorman, Aquala. Like that type of music is playing as we're on our stakeout, which is not stakeout music, but it's sort of like this like jazzy.
well, Clint Eastwood's a jazz devotee,
Okay, well,
and
that makes sense.
a very talented piano player,
Hmm.
jazz piano. But he directed the movie about Bird, the saxophone player.
Mm. Okay.
But yeah, Clint Eastwood loves jazz music, and actually is very good at it. Is very good at I've heard him play. So
Yeah, nice, nice.
yeah.
Um,
So yeah, sort of like,
yeah, jazzy music while they're staking out.
jazzy club music, so.
Yeah. The priest is like out just like pacing back and forth in front of the church, well lit. And Clint Eastwood Harry is got his binoculars looking at the building across the way. That's the one they expect him to be on. But then his attention wanders down to the apartments. And what do we see again? A naked lady. Why do we see her? Couldn't tell you. She gets fully naked in front of the uncovered windows and then
Right.
goes to answer the door for fully clothed people. And I was like, what is happening here?
Don't know. I hopefully she knew who was at the door, before she opened the door. I'm
Yeah.
guessing she did. She was expecting company.
Yeah. The only thing I can think of is it's like, look at all these San Francisco hippies.
It's the flower child,
Yeah.
flower children.
But
So
it's my understanding that men who were hippies might also like not have their shirts on, but in this San Francisco, only women. Only
only
women.
women. Yeah, you don't see a lot of guys walking around without shirts on. So
No.
that was the other thing.
Even like a vest with no
Yeah,
shirt, none of
yeah.
that.
Oh, yeah, and that was a big thing. That was the other thing I couldn't figure out what time of the year it was supposed to be, because Harry's wearing like a sweater vest and a sport coat and stuff, and
Mm,
he's not sweating, but
yeah.
so maybe it's a little cooler there. I don't
Yeah.
know.
I think San Francisco tends to be pretty temperate though. Like it doesn't change a lot and it's
Okay,
cooler than the rest of California because it's
gotcha.
like they have the bay and the
Yeah,
fog.
I do like Harry's sport coats though.
Yeah. I liked his outfits.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it wasn't anything too radical, but he looked very well put together.
Mhm.
So.
Mhm. Yeah. And I can see too like for me Clint Eastwood has always been an old person.
Hmm.
But I was like, "Oh, okay, look at Clint Eastwood." I could see like Scott Eastwood does look just like him.
Oh yeah, he does. Yeah. So
How he did then.
Clint
So
had great hair in this movie too, though. By
yeah.
the way.
And I could his voice was not as like gravelly as it is now. So I was like,
Oh
"Oh, I could
yeah, no.
understand you better." Although I did still wish that I had closed captions, but when I rented it on my TV, the closed captions did not come up. So sometimes I was like, "Enunciate for me, Clint." Anyways, we're
Yeah.
on the roof. Suddenly, across the way, roof door open. Who's there? Scorpio. So the plan is to shine a light on him, I guess both to distract him and also like so they could see him. And then so Chico's got the light. He's shining a big flashlight across the way at this dude and Harry starts shooting at him.
Not
Uh
with his revolver though. Harry has a rifle.
Harry has a rifle because it's
It's an
longer
elephant, but
range.
it's an elephant gun, by the way. It's a 458 Magnum, which is an elephant gun. And even the chief of police said, "You really believe in having an edge, don't you?" And he goes, "Yeah, everything I can get." So it's like Harry's got to have the biggest gun ever made.
When you say elephant gun,
It's to shoot elephants.
okay.
So
I thought that's what you were saying, but I just
yeah,
wanted to
it's like
clarify.
if you were to go hunt an elephant, you would have to use this
Yeah.
gun because
Jeez.
they're so big. So
Which no one should do, to be clear. No one should hunt an
no, we don't
elephant.
condone that. But Harry
Absolutely
didn't need
not.
to use this big of a gun either to kill a man,
Yes,
and
yes,
then
yes.
and
Makes
this
sense.
and then we find out Harry doesn't shoot nearly as well with a rifle as he does with his pistol.
No. He misses, the guy's shooting back, he's missing. But it appears
Well,
he
and
did still hit the priest, though.
yes, yes,
He still got the priest. So then he's on the loose again. And now we get more contact from him, get another note.
another note, yeah.
He has snatched a girl, a 14-year-old girl. He's described her to, be clear it's legit.
I do know he said he buried her and she only has so many hours of
Yes.
oxygen. So
Yes.
I
So
don't.
in any case, the clock was ticking for this girl's life.
And do we want to mention how we know that he has the girl because he sends some evidence?
Oh, he sends a tooth,
Mm,
a molar that he has pulled out with pliers.
along with some of her hair.
Mm.
and her bra.
Yeah. And he describes like her underwear and everything. So
Yeah. So
it's
they
nice.
know he has her.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
He wants his ransom. The mayor wants to pay. Harry is now in agreement because it's, he's got a child. And Harry wants to deliver it. Chico wants to be his backup, but they say no because, it's always one of those things. It's like, if the cop shows up, the girl dies kind of thing.
yeah.
So he's like, only one person can come, but they still, spoiler alert, Chico still is there as backup, but
They
he's covert.
yeah, they cheat because
Yeah.
because Harry's got a
He's like wearing a
microphone
wire. Yeah.
wire, yeah, for Chico to hear what's going on.
So basically, it becomes a little bit of a game, this arrangement. So Harry goes to the place he was told to meet the person. He's got the money in a bag. And he picks up a ringing payphone. And basically, Scorpio is like, I'm going to bounce you all over town to make sure that you're alone. You better
Mm-hmm.
be alone. You don't even like look at anybody, don't even talk to anybody, or she's going to die.
Right.
And he's like, I'm watching you. He's basically like, sometimes I'm watching you, sometimes I'm not. You're not going to know like when I
Yeah,
can
you're
see
not going to
you.
know when. And I think I'm sure I've seen this in other movies. This routine pool, where
Mm-hmm.
they run the bag man or whatever, all over town.
Yeah. Yeah. So he then has to go to like a train station. So he like runs and he's like, you're not allowed to drive either. So then he runs to get on the train to go somewhere. And Chico is following. Chico can hear everything because Harry's wearing a wire, like we said. So he's driving to the next place. I was like, I hope I hope this doesn't go wrong. I hope he doesn't see Chico. He doesn't, thankfully. And then of course, like Harry's just trying to do this mission. Some guys try to rob him.
Yeah.
Then he's like, he brushes him off. Then he gets to the next payphone and it starts ringing, and this old man goes to pick it up, and he's like, "Do not pick up the phone." And then the old man picks up the phone, and then when Harry picks it up, Scorpio like hangs up on him. And then he has to be like, Scorpio calls back and he's like, listen, I do not know that man. I had never seen him before in my life. He just picked up the phone because he was here.
Right.
So thankfully, Harry has not violated the rules of the game. That does not count against him. So that was stressful for a minute. Then Harry's going to the next destination. He runs into some kid who's like, got drugs, I guess. Harry's like, has to threaten him. He's like, go away. I was like, where did all these people come? It's like the middle of the night. Go home.
It's San Francisco. Come on.
Why the kid's like in a field? What is he doing by himself in a field?
You really didn't pick up on that?
Well, yeah, I know he was like, but usually people do that with other people.
I know. Well, I think he was trying to meet somebody, and he
I
thought
guess.
Harry was trying to, because that's how they used to do that.
I know. I just feel like in the middle of a field doesn't feel like a very covert place.
Well, I know, but it's well, wasn't he in the middle of it? Wasn't the park? Was it? Was he in the park?
I don't think so. It
I
looked like
don't
it was
know.
just a field. But
Field.
anyways,
Anyway, so
the last place to meet is at a church at this big giant cross.
yeah.
So the guy is there. This is also when I wrote, it is so damn dark.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
I was like,
You can't see
trying to see.
anything. And poor Clint,
I know he's
he's
already at a
handicapped anyway.
disadvantage
Yeah, exactly.
with his eyes half open always. So anyway, Scorpio is there. He, tells Harry to freeze or he'll kill him and the girl. He makes Harry drop the bag, toss his gun. Then the guy starts beating him up, stomping him, taunting him, and he's like, "Ha ha! Guess what? I'm gonna kill her anyway. I'm gonna let her die anyway. It doesn't matter. Ha ha." It's very like he's very Joker in his overall
Did you get that
vibe.
vibe also? Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I sort of got that a little bit about not Joaquin Phoenix's Joker.
Heath Ledger's
Very,
Joker.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
The like chaos was, especially later when he the beating up thing.
Yeah.
So Chico rushes in just as the guy's about to shoot Harry. But Harry's like, "Don't kill him."
Yeah.
Like, we need him alive because we need to know where the
Even though,
girl is.
and Harry at this point is almost like unconscious because this guy slammed his head against this wall or whatever. So,
Yeah, this dude is beating the crap out of him. As we said, hand-to-hand
mm,
combat, not Harry's strength. That's
nope.
why he carries big guns. Um, but then there's like a shootout. The guy shoots Chico. Um, Harry does eventually manage. Oh, we saw him earlier. He put a knife in his sock and scotch taped it to his leg. That was
It's a,
all
it's
that
a,
he takes.
it's a big switchblade. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
He's like at his in his boss's office and he's like, "Can I have some of this scotch tape?" And then he takes it and wraps like a big piece around the knife to hold it to his leg. So he stabs Scorpio in the leg with his switchblade. And then Scorpio's like, "Rah!"
Great reaction
uh,
scene, don't you think? I mean,
he's just like crazy, is like
you,
just the vibe I get off him.
it's like a wild animal.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, the look on his face and the sounds he makes, it's like this
Yes.
scream and
Feral.
yeah,
Just full feral. So he kind of stumbles, rolls down a little hill into the woods, still like, rah!
yeah, with this knife still sticking out of his leg, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, and then we sort of cut back and forth like Harry on the ground struggling,
Yeah.
Scorpio on the ground struggling. Then I was like, is Chico dead? He's not dead. um Scorpio takes the knife out of his leg. He covers his wound with like he had been wearing like a ski mask,
Hmm.
and he presses that in to try to stop the bleeding, and then he hobbles away.
He
Um,
hobbles really good, don't you think?
yes,
I mean,
yes.
I don't know if his leg was really hurt, but boy, he made you think it was hurt.
He committed to the hobble, and
Yeah.
Harry does eventually crawl over to his gun. He tries to shoot in his direction, but Scorpio once again gets away.
Gets away.
You hear sirens in the distance. Um, and then we find out, well, first of all, Chico is alive. Confirmation. Good
Hmm.
to know. Harry has like multiple broken ribs. He's laying on the couch in his boss's office looking like he's been to hell and back.
Hmm.
They're happy, Chico's in the hospital. That's when we find out. Then a call comes in. It's from a doctor it didn't seem like a full hospital, it seemed like a clinic,
Yeah.
who was like, "Hey, um, some dude came in with a wound on his leg and we treated it.
Hmm.
Is it because this be your guy?"
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
they go
Hmm.
investigate. The doctor didn't get his name, but he did recognize him, and he remembers he works in the area. He eventually remembers that he sold programs at the stadium, at like the football stadium there, and
Yeah.
he thinks that the groundskeeper lets him live there. So great. We know where he is. We know where his house is.
Great police work, guys.
Yes. It does feel like maybe we could have found this out early. Like
Well,
we had a description. Like,
yeah,
are we circulating this description around?
that's what I wonder. There was no police artist, there was no drawing or rendering or whatever,
Right.
and
We've laid eyes on him multiple times at this point.
I
Like,
kept
police
wondering
have laid eyes on him multiple times.
why didn't they did he get fingerprints off the shell casings or any of the stuff that he sent? I don't know. Maybe he was that smart that they didn't leave him. I don't
He did
know.
wear gloves. He did in the first
Oh,
scene when
that's
he
true.
was he
Yeah,
was
he
wearing
did wear. Yeah,
gloves.
yeah. So
But
okay,
yeah, it does feel like, I don't know. There are things that there it does feel like there could be some more detective work that isn't like, let's wait to catch him in the act.
right. Or gee, we got a big break. We got a tip from this doc. So
Yeah, it feels like they were doing a lot of waiting around. But
yeah,
in
exactly.
any case, Harry gets his friend DiGiorgio to come with him. His friend, who he calls Fatso, DiGiorgio, head over to the stadium. And I was like, if you're about this feels like a situation where you might want backup.
I
If you
know.
think a prolific sniper is here.
Well, because he also had a machine gun, so it's not like this guy, is it only has like the one gun or whatever. So
Also, Harry, he beat the shit out of you 5 minutes ago.
right,
Like,
exactly. Harry,
and you're not bringing like
Yeah,
I don't know,
you're
Captain
not bringing
America
your
with you. You're bringing DiGiorgio with you.
yeah, you're not bringing your A game here.
This feels
So
like we roll up with the cavalry. Maybe I've watched too much Criminal Minds, but when they figure out where the killer is,
right.
they go together.
Yeah, you got like a bunch of guys in uniforms or
Yes.
in suits
Shields,
with
helmets,
guns. Yeah, and then you do, this,
bulletproof vests. Yeah.
exactly. And then you
People go
bang
in
down the
different,
door.
yes, people go in different entrances.
Yeah,
Guns are drawn.
tear gas. Uh
Yes.
or
Flashbang, whatever.
flashbangs. Yeah, there you go.
Um,
Flashbangs.
anyways, the dude, oh, it's like creepy. He's so creepy because he's
Oh,
hiding and he's spying on Harry, like
yeah.
through, like between, like a, what he's hiding behind. And it's like, ugh.
I
Everything
know.
about him, like, I mean, good casting because he really freaked me out.
Yeah,
The
this guy
killing.
really committed to the role.
Yeah. I read that after this movie came out, he got death threats because people were like, "You're a serial killer."
Well, if
Although
the
I don't,
shoe
maybe they didn't
fits,
call him that. I don't know if that term was coined yet because that
yeah,
that happened in the 70s. Anyways, Scorpio tries to make a run for it. Probably a bad idea when you got a bum leg, but whatever.
yeah, because he's still hobbling.
Yes, he's that's what I wrote. Dude is hobbled.
Yeah,
Um, but Harry's on his trail. He can keep up. The guy's hobbled.
yeah,
Um, the guy's trying to also, again, like, strategy here. He's running across the field, which is like the part where everybody can see. DiGiorgio turns the lights on so you can see him even better. Harry starts shooting at him. He shoots him, he hits him,
yeah.
like in the leg or whatever, and advances on him. And the guy's like whining and begging. And again, like his voice and like just
Oh,
the way he talks is so just
and
like, ugh.
and his face, it's like this.
Yes, he's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
screwing up his face in like the most like unattractive, like gruesome ways. And he's going, "I have a right to a lawyer. I have a right to a lawyer." He's like sobbing, "I have a right to a lawyer," as Harry is like demanding to know where the girl is.
Right.
Where is the girl? Where is the girl? Where is the girl? He makes DiGiorgio leave, which is their signal, like, let's get illegal.
Uh-huh.
He steps on the guy's knife wound in his thigh, which again makes this guy squeal in the most unattractive manner.
I probably would too if somebody stepped on my knife wound.
I mean, it makes
Yeah,
sense.
just
It makes
saying.
it
Just
tracks.
saying.
It
Yeah.
tracks.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the girl is dead. They find her. He does Harry extracts the information, but it's too late. The girl is dead. We watch once again. This was gratuitous in a way that did not feel necessary. We watch them pull her naked body. Again, we have been told multiple times that this girl is 14.
14.
We watch them pull her naked body out of like it's not like a manhole, but like something like that.
Yeah, I couldn't figure out where if it was like something he dug or if it was someplace he'd found and he sort of just put her in there. I don't
Yeah,
know.
because it looked like it had like a
Like
lid
a
on
like a
it.
hatch or a lid or
Yeah, it looked
something.
like some
Yeah.
sort of hatch. So I don't know like
Yeah.
what it was, but it was near the water, so maybe some sort of whatever
I
drainage.
don't know. Oh, could be.
Anyways,
Yeah.
they pull her out. Again, we see the full shot of them like pulling out this girl's naked body. Someone's
Hmm.
holding her. Then they lay her on the stretcher. Then they cover her up. And
Then
it's
they
like, I
cover it
think we
up.
could have just come to this when we see them cover her up.
Exactly. So we
Because you
didn't
could
need to
tell that she
see.
was naked and you could tell that she was dead. You could tell that
Yeah.
she was murdered and raped.
Right.
Like,
That she wasn't alive. She wasn't breathing. So, but and it, yeah, there's no defense for this this scene. It could have been shot differently. So
exactly. This is what I wrote. Why are we seeing someone who is supposed to be 14 naked? Is it possible to see a clothed woman in this movie? We occasionally see some secretaries. That's
yeah, yeah. I was
that
gonna say
was
yeah.
the next scene. We see some clothed women who are secretaries.
Receptionists and
Woo!
secretaries. Yeah. So
And
yep.
eventually we see a bus driver. So women
Hey,
in
well,
service and women naked.
there you go. So
What a world. Um, this is
boy,
not a world I want to
I
live in.
miss the 70s. Not there's some things I miss about the 70s.
Yeah. I mean,
I miss the
I miss
music.
yeah, music. I think my hair would have really fit in then. I
Oh
miss the
yeah.
really robust feminist movement of the 70s that
Hmm.
actively
Hmm.
protested when this movie came out.
Exactly. So yeah. So
Anyways, next Harry is summoned to talk to the DA. Because he's like, "Oh, great, we're taking this man to trial."
Right.
Just
Yeah.
kidding. No, we're not. So the DA is not happy because he's like, "Hey, guess what? Have you heard of the Constitution? Because you just pooped all over it, Harry, and now we
Right.
don't have a case." Is basically the message. The guy's gonna walk. The DA is like, "I can't even try him because there's no evidence." And Harry's like, "What about the gun?" And the
But
DA is like, "Well, you got it through an illegal search, so it's not admissible evidence."
right.
Again, Fourth Amendment, illegal search and seizure. He's like, "You violated his Fourth, Fifth, and maybe even Eighth Amendment." He's got like a constitutional law professor with him to like go over everything and be like, "Yeah, man,
Yeah.
you screwed the pooch on this one."
Exactly. I couldn't convict him of spitting on the sidewalk.
Yeah. The evidence about the girl is excluded because Harry tortured him for it. Harry's like,
Is
"The
that the
guy's
Eighth
gonna."
Amendment? Thou shalt not torture. Oh, wait a minute. That maybe that's the Eighth Commandment. I forget.
No, I
So
think that might be is the eighth one cruel and unusual punishment?
uh, you got me. So
I know
I
like
get
the
lost
first
past the
few.
Fourth Amendment. What's the freedom of the press?
That's the first one. Well, yeah. Eighth is cruel and unusual punishment. And he says the 14th, which is like you're not deprived of your rights
Yeah,
without due process. 14th
right.
is due process. So
So he does ask Harry if he's ever heard of the Miranda, of
yeah.
Miranda and the Rico or whatever it was, all these other things, and
Yeah.
I think I can't remember when they put Miranda into effect, but it probably wasn't long. It hadn't been in effect long because probably in the 60s maybe when
Let's
they had to
see.
start doing the
Miranda
Miranda.
versus Arizona was a land 66.
See, so 5 years.
So
It'd only been in effect for 5 years. Harry probably didn't even know about it. He hadn't read the memo.
probably not. He doesn't strike me as someone who would read memos.
He
So
he he missed that training
maybe
day.
he needed it written down. He had his little "you feel lucky punk" quote
Yeah.
memorized. So
Oh yeah.
presumably he could memorize Miranda rights.
Yeah.
Anybody who watches Law and Order can memorize Miranda rights.
Miranda.
So if I can, I think Harry could too.
I remember watching police shows though back when it first came out, and they would have the police officer. They had like a little thing, and they would pull it out and
Little
read it to them.
card.
Yeah.
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 You have the right to remain silent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anything you say or do can and will be used against you.
In
You
a
have the right
court of
to an
law,
attorney.
you have the right
Although,
to sing the blues. You have the right to
yes,
cable TV.
I hear that in my head in Mariska Hargitay's voice. It's Olivia Benson saying it in my
Oh.
head,
Okay. Yeah. Doing the
doing the
Miranda.
Miranda rights. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyways, the guy gets let go, and Harry's like, "Well, guess I'm following him now. Following him from place to place."
Well, Harry sort of hints, like he says, "Well, he goes, he won't be out there for long." And then the DA says, "What do you mean?" He goes, "I'm not going to have you, threatening him or whatever." He goes, "Oh," he goes, "he's going to slip up. He'll, and this guy, he'll kill again."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
So
Harry's the first serial killer profiler.
I guess so. I mean, well, it's not hard to know that that guy's gonna kill again. That was pretty,
Yeah,
pretty depraved. You don't need to go to the FBI Academy to know that. But I also think Harry was saying that to like guilt
yeah,
the DA.
exactly. Like, yeah, the next victim is going to be on your hands.
Yeah.
So
To which the DA would say, "No, no, 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 sir,
yeah,
your hands,
yeah, exactly.
because
You're the
you
one that
screwed this up."
That's right. You're the one that didn't do your job the right
Yeah.
way.
Although, as we discussed, if this was a Law and Order episode, the DA would at least try. Then the judge would throw everything out.
Right, but
This DA didn't even
he would try
try.
to salvage something out of it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
This
So,
DA
but
didn't even, try to be creative with the
right,
law. This DA was like, nope. But
yep,
anyways, but
yep.
I think this was like, it's Harry versus all these like wimpy guys in suits who don't care about justice. Only
Or
Harry does.
well, yeah. All they care about is the law. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Harry's like, who cares
I'm
about the law?
I'm Judge Dredd.
Yeah.
I am the law.
I am judge, jury, and executioner. Anyways, Harry's basically stalking this guy. He including to a strip bar, so woohoo, more naked ladies.
Yep, there you go.
At least
So
this one like makes sense. It's not just like a lady getting fully naked in front of open windows at her
Right, yeah,
house.
for no apparent reason. At least these women are earning a living, making a
Yeah.
living, yeah, so
And then we see Mr. Scorpio go to some like underground place with some cash, which he pays to a black guy and says he wants $200 worth. And I was like, of what? Maybe he's buying more guns because presumably he does not have his gun
that's
anymore.
what I thought when I first saw the movie. I thought, "Oh, he's gonna
Yes.
buy a gun because the guy looks" yeah, like you said, they're like in
They're
some
like under a
abandoned
bridge. Like it's like
building or something.
very, he
Yeah,
has to like go downstairs into
uh,
some, yeah,
yeah, like, it
bunker thing. No, he's paying to get the shit beat out of him. And I was like, I called it because I was like, oh, he's doing this so that he can say he's gonna say Harry beat him up. It was clear.
but boy, how sick I wrote down, how sick do you have to be to pay somebody to and I
Well,
don't mean yeah, because well, if you watch the movie.
yeah. It again, I think that like this guy came off as so depraved. So again, kudos to whoever cast this man and kudos to this actor. But like he's this the black dude he paid is beating the crap out of him. And even the guy is like, "Are you sure?
Yeah, do
Like you want me to keep going?"
yeah, you
And he
want the
said,
rest of this?
"Every penny worth." Again, his face is swollen, bloody,
Oh,
screwed up.
that was a good makeup thing, don't you think?
Yes.
Because I mean, it looked like, yeah, his face was, he had been beat. So
Yeah.
because it was starting to really puff up.
But yeah, he does this like growly, whiny, like
Oh yeah,
every
and
penny.
then the guy drags him and he goes, "This one's on the house."
And he kicks him in the ribs. So yeah, so as I said, he's trying to frame the police department,
Mhm.
specifically Harry. He's in the hospital, he's surrounded by media. He's like, the San Francisco Police Department has been stalking me and harassing me. They're trying to frame me and they're trying to kill me.
And he
And they're
is
like,
fully bandaged up. I
yeah,
mean,
his face is fully bandaged. He's on a stretcher, like, all wrapped up, bandaged up. And they're like, is there anyone in particular? And he says, yes, Harry Callahan.
that mean old man.
And everybody back at the police department and like the mayor are like, Harry, did you do this? Which
Yeah.
does say something that it's a possibility.
And I don't even think they're really asking it. It's just like, Harry,
Again,
yeah,
Harry.
exactly. Yeah, Harry, this time you went a little too far,
Yeah.
buddy,
And he's like, I swear I just followed him. Like, I
Yeah.
didn't do that. I did follow him, to be fair. Did not do that.
Yeah. I didn't tune him up.
Yeah. So Harry then visits Chico in the hospital. He seems to be paralyzed, is the
Got that
vibe that I
impression
got.
too.
Because he's like
Yeah.
in a wheelchair and they're talking about going to like therapy and how he's gonna
Hmm.
retire and all this stuff. And he talks a little bit to Chico's wife, which is probably like the most pleasant he has been the whole movie. This I was like, oh, he's being downright friendly.
Well,
This,
yeah, he
this is
comes
Harry
across as
being
more,
bubbly.
yeah, well, yeah, more human, I guess, more,
Yeah, like caring
yeah,
a little bit
yeah.
because he's very like cold and hard
Oh,
throughout the
yeah.
whole movie. But there is a little something, right? A little,
Hmm.
like a little like soft center,
Hmm.
a tiny morsel of it. So he's talking to Chico's wife, who like, she's like, I don't know if I'm like cut out to be a cop's wife. And he's like, like this isn't really something that like you should get used to. It's like a kind of a crazy
Yeah.
situation. And she asked him about his wife, and we actually find out, he says that his wife was killed by a drunk driver.
Hmm.
She also asked him why he stays on the force, why he's still a cop, and he says he doesn't know.
Yeah. Says he honestly doesn't know why he does it. So,
Yeah. So I think that's like the most like vulnerability we get from Harry
mhm.
the whole movie.
Well, Neil, I thought that another point that I like where she goes, "It's my fault he's not staying because I can't put up with this." And he says, "Don't sell yourself short." He goes,
Hmm.
that don't ever downgrade yourself. He goes,
Yeah.
you're fine. He goes, you shouldn't have to do this. Yeah,
Yeah.
like you said. So,
Yeah. So he was actually like supportive and like kind in
yeah.
that moment. So I was like,
Hmm.
oh, look at that. There is like somebody in there.
Yeah, I think I think it did. It made him feel bad that Chico, got hurt, saving
Hmm.
Harry, and then he ended up, doing this where or now he's got to make another choice,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. And
but
I think like
probably the right one.
right. And I think he knows too that like this is like what he does is crazy.
Hmm.
Probably I haven't seen the other movies, so maybe this comes up, but like I'm sure because his wife died, he's kind of just like, who gives a shit? He's probably like, I have
He,
nothing to lose, but
exactly
you do. So like
right.
you don't do this.
Harry doesn't have any investment in
Yeah.
life, so this he yeah, and that's he takes chances and puts himself out there where other police officers don't.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why he does the dirty job. So I think this I liked this scene because it was like the most we got like of
Mm-hmm.
him, like his inner life.
And a little bit of it, I thought too. Maybe it was. I don't know if it was meant to be, but he takes his sunglasses off, and it's sort of
Mm-hmm.
like then you get to see because he wears these shades a lot,
Mm-hmm.
but when he's talking to Chico, even though he's outside, he takes them off. So maybe that's a way of like he's taking that veneer down or
Yeah.
whatever, that
He's actually trying to like connect with the person he's talking
yeah,
to
yeah.
and
So
not be like, I'm dirty Harry, blah, blah, blah,
exactly,
kind of
yeah.
thing.
So
So
I don't feel anything. I don't,
yeah,
nothing touches me, nothing bothers me.
exactly.
So
Exactly.
that's a good
It's like,
observation on your point, on
yeah,
your part, I
I
think.
just I just thought of it. So that came off the dome.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that I enjoyed that scene that scene
Mm-hmm.
best, I think, because it is, I think that like running, jumping, shooting is entertaining, but I think that things that really connect are like people, right?
Yeah.
That's why you connect with like Law and Order SVU, right? If there's no Olivia Benson, if there's no Elliot Stabler with a life,
Mm-hmm.
then like,
Yeah. What's the point?
right. So it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
if you don't have, I'll go back to regular, like you don't have Lenny Briscoe, you don't have Jack
Yeah.
McCoy with their inner life,
Right.
their backstory, like
Mm-hmm.
their being a person, the rest of it doesn't mean as much.
Yeah. No.
So I think that gives you so much, that just that scene gives you a lot of insight into Harry and like why he is the way he is. And maybe he's always, and I think you maybe alluded to this coming up later in movies, but like he's maybe always kind of like seeking revenge a little bit
Mm-hmm.
for
Yeah.
his wife
For his
getting
wife being
killed
killed for no, like you said,
for no
for
reason.
no
Yeah.
reason at all. Yeah. It didn't
Yeah.
have to happen.
Yeah. So that was, yeah, I really enjoyed that scene a lot. Now, even more, I only wrote like one sentence about it in my notes, but as we talk about it, like I did really enjoy that like little bit of insight. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Because before he would allude to his wife and say nothing else. But like,
Yeah.
this woman, he's like, they're really like connecting on something.
And again, this is somebody he just met,
Yeah.
and he could have just said, well, some people aren't cut out to be that or to do that or
Right.
whatever, or yeah, you're weak or whatever. But no,
Yeah.
he tried to reassure that
Hmm.
she
Hmm.
was the one that had the right feeling that
Yeah.
if she did stay with it, there might be something wrong with her.
Right, right. Yeah. It was interesting that he wasn't like rah rah police. Like, no, this is the best. You guys should want to do this. Like, he's like, no, this is like actually crazy. So, like, the fact that you're trying to get away from it makes total sense.
Yeah, yeah, and supports her in that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So
yeah,
I
it was a
like
good
that.
scene.
Yeah. Um, so then we're back to Scorpio. He goes to a liquor store.
Looney
Um,
Tunes.
is that what the liquor store is
He's
called?
healed up. I mean, he's Looney Tunes.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
right. Yeah, and he's healed up pretty good. But so we
Yes,
don't know
but
how much
he's
time has passed.
yeah, we don't, but there's still some lingering stuff because the guy's like, "Oh, what happened to you?"
Yeah, I
And
mean,
he said he beat his wife and his wife's brother beat him up.
yeah,
I was like, and the guy's like, "Oh, okay."
yeah, yeah. The guy goes, "Oh yeah, that happens." It's like, dude,
No.
yeah, yeah. He goes like, "Oh yeah, I hit my wife, so her brother hit me." It's like,
And
well,
he's
yeah,
like, "Of course."
yeah.
It's a
Oh yeah. Oh, what are you gonna
Tuesday.
do about them women? Oh, wives are like that. If
Yeah.
they have a brother, they're gonna kick your ass. So
Yeah. And then whoop, surprise, he robs the guy. He hits the guy over the head with the bottle of Seagram's that he just bought from him. And takes his gun after he
mm,
basically baits the guy into telling him like, "Oh, you have a gun?" Because he
yeah.
he says like, "Oh, you ever been like robbed before or whatever?" The guy's like, "Oh no, I have this gun right here," and he shows him on his hip where it is. And I was like, "Sir,
Yeah.
you maybe don't need to like show all your cards to this stranger." But so he bats him over the head and takes his gun, and I think maybe takes some money, looks for some money at least.
And when
Um,
and then he grabs another small bottle of whiskey because
yeah,
hey,
well,
you can't leave a
can't
liquor
wait.
store empty
Right.
handed. Come
He
on.
already he messed up the bottle that he was gonna get,
Well,
so
exactly.
he
You know
needed
that
to
whole
replace it.
yeah. So I had trouble, remembering that Seagram's was only $5.70 for a quart of whiskey back then.
Dang.
He's
Nice.
still my beating heart.
Yeah. In any case, Harry was correct. My man is ready to do some shooting again. And this time he's upped the ante and
Hmm.
takes a whole school bus hostage.
So, you know, and if you think about it, other than the first victim, all the other victims were children or under or were minors, right?
And the
The
priest.
well, you're right. I'm sorry. You're right. I
But
forgot
yeah,
about
the first woman appeared to be an adult, and then the priest, but everybody else, like he
yeah
shot the little boy, the
the young
14-year-old
boy and the
girl,
14-year-old girl, and now he's kidnapped a school bus.
a bus full of children.
Yeah, exactly.
Lucky for the kids, he goes up to it at a bus stop. If I was one of the kids that got off, I would be like, whew, because a couple kids got
Boy,
off,
did I
and then
dodge
he
a
got
bullet in the real sense?
literally.
Yeah. So
So he holds the bus driver at gunpoint, tells her to drive. And then he turns around and he's like, hey kids, you want to sing a song? So he's leading the kids singing Old MacDonald while he's like holding the bus driver at gunpoint. And again, it's like this man is deranged.
because if you looked at this scene on its own, you'd sit there and go, "Oh, there's some weirdo guy who's letting the kids or making having the kids sing a song." And if you didn't know the whole backstory, you'd think, "Oh, well, he's kind of odd," but you wouldn't think
Mm-hmm.
he was evil. But yeah, he's a
Yeah.
twisted.
Again, it's really giving Joker. It's like when he
The
has the boats.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You're exactly right. Yeah,
Yeah.
you nailed it. Yeah,
There's
good
also an
call.
episode of Criminal Minds where a serial killer he kidnaps a whole busload of children and he like hides them somewhere.
Oh,
And it's
oh.
sort of a game for the profilers to figure out where it is. I think that's an early episode called No Way Out. It's with one of the Carradines is the killer named Frank.
Is it
Yeah,
Keith?
it's Keith. It's Keith.
Yeah,
Yes.
Keith played the president in Madam Secretary.
Yes. So he also plays serial killer Frank on two
Ooh,
episodes of Criminal
oh,
Minds.
well, there
So
you go. Okay.
yes. So Harry goes to the mayor's office. There's another note. This time he does not say who he's kidnapped, though. The note is mysterious. He
Mm-hmm.
does say that he now wants $200,000 and an airplane, and he's going to call the mayor later to tell him about the hostages.
Right.
So, uh, he does call the mayor and he tells him, he's like, oh, I got a whole bus full of kids and da da. And the mayor's like, okay. He wants to drive to the airport. The mayor's like, okay, great. Like you can get there. No one will molest you.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, that's a particular word to use.
Especially
No
with this
one,
guy.
right. Nobody's going to bother you on your way. And Harry's like,
Right.
okay,
Mm-hmm.
guess what? I'm trying to bother him. Um, so come back to the bus and there's a kid who's like, I want to go home.
Right, because
That's
they're
where I
just
was.
driving
They're
around.
just driving. He's like, hello. I was supposed to be at my house by now. I would like to be at home with my mother. Again, he takes a break from the singing. They're singing row your
Oh,
boat in the round.
mm-hmm.
They're doing so we're doing full arrangements now. And as soon as this kid says this, he like flips a switch.
Yep.
In the kid's face, sing a song, damn it. Like just screaming at this kid, I will kill you. Sing. And I was just like, oh my God. It's like terrifying.
You think that kid grew up traumatized by, even though he knew it was a movie, it's like,
Right. I have to assume, like, right when they cut, he's like, buddy,
yeah,
everything's okay. I'm
yeah,
so sorry.
yeah. I'm gonna buy you a pony,
Yes.
or
Do you want to
whatever.
get ice cream after this?
Yeah. So I'm coming to your birthday party. I'm gonna sing. I'll
Yeah.
parties on me.
Then he's like, everybody get back to singing. So they're all just like terrified, going like, row your boat.
I know they're and the bus driver's like losing her mind.
She's a woman on the brink. And then they're driving, and up on a little bridge, who do we see standing there but Harry? Just standing and staring like menacingly.
I want to know two things. How did he get there so quickly? And how did he get up on that thing? And Harry's still in the whole sport coat tie, what
Of course.
he looks like, he's not wearing like, a jumpsuit or, whatever fatigues or what. No,
Right.
Harry looks
He's
like
not athletically dressed.
new Inspector Callahan.
Yeah.
He's
So and it's like when I say a bridge, I mean it's like an overpass, like
it's an overpass. Yeah, it's an
over the
overhang.
road.
Yeah.
And when the bus comes by, he jumps onto the bus again in the sports coat, in the full look.
And with no back. Well, I guess he couldn't get back up because the mayor said there wasn't going to be anybody bothering.
Yeah.
Him,
Well, and listen, not having backup has never stopped this man before.
Well, that's true. Yeah. So it probably would have impeded him. So
probably. So Scorpio's trying to shoot him through the roof. Then he takes the wheel and he's trying to like swing the bus back and forth to shake him off. But Harry stays on. Crazy grip strength, I guess. But finally they like crash the bus like through a fence and they basically end up at like a quarry.
Yeah.
And Harry falls down and Scorpio runs off. Again, he's still a little hobbled. He's still not running great.
Yeah, and luckily Harry falls into a big pile of, I don't know what it is, like some sort of soft
like
stuff.
Sand.
Yeah, or whatever. Thank God it wasn't, like gravel.
Rocks.
Yeah, boulders.
Right. And I was like, well, he's got to just kill him at this point. Because like there's no more hostages. He only kept him alive earlier because there was a hostage he was trying to figure out. Well, we know where all the hostages are. He's away from them now. They're good.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, he's gonna just kill him now.
Mm-hmm.
And again, they're like exchanging gunfire throughout a quarry. Again, there are people trying to do their job here. The guys at the quarry are like, what are you doing? They're trying to run the machine.
I know they run through, and the guy's like in the full mask or whatever and he's like, what?
You can't go up there.
Yeah.
So,
luckily he didn't get popped. So
I know. I mean, he had a lot of protective equipment on. Maybe it would have just dinged.
Could have been, yeah. So
although maybe not Harry's gun though. Harry carries the big gun. So
that's right. The big 44 Magnum.
Then so they get through. The Scorpio gets outside, and for some reason, a small boy is fishing.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah, he was fishing. I was sitting
There's like a little
I thought, wait a minute, did one of them school kids come over there? And it's like, dude, you went after the guys with the guns,
Although it was weird. I was like, why is this kid fishing here? Maybe his dad works at the quarry and he's waiting for him. I don't know.
Well, wait a minute. Would you want to eat a fish caught at a quarry?
No.
I was getting ready to say, can you imagine what the chemicals were leaching into that water?
I have to assume this was going to be catch and release. Maybe he's not good at fishing. He's just occupying his time.
If he brought whatever he brought up, it either has 3 eyes or one, or whatever it may be, or it has arms instead of fins.
Yeah, so some sort of like nuclear messed up fish.
Like something out of Chernobyl or
yes. But Scorpio takes him hostage. He, gun to his head. The classic scene we see in any police action thriller, right? He's got him and he's like, don't come near me or I'll shoot him. I'll blow his brains out. He's like, put your gun down or I'll blow his brains out. And Harry's like, okay. And Harry pretends to drop his gun and then he goes, boom, and shoots him in like the neck.
Well, in the shoulder, I think.
Shoulder,
yeah. And then so
the kid gets out of the way, thankfully, although he probably has tinnitus now.
And trauma.
Yes.
A lot of psychiatrists probably got rich off of Harry back in the 70s. So,
probably the San Francisco like mental health trade was lucrative at the time.
Probably
and he says
a wing after him.
Probably.
The Harry Callahan Memorial Wing.
Yes. So Harry goes up to Scorpio, who's laying like gurgling with his blood, even though again he shot like in the shoulder. So I was like, okay.
I think
and he says the same
spiel.
Did
I fire 5 rounds or 6?
6.
Yeah.
Am I feeling lucky? Well, do ya, punk? And this time Scorpio, it's not empty. He was not lucky.
But Scorpio feels lucky
Yes.
and
Scorpio
grabs
feels
his
lucky.
gun.
Yeah, but he wasn't. So
No,
he gets shot and he falls into the water and is like, blub, 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 you
yeah.
know?
And we see the full effect of Harry's 44 because he flies like 20 feet off the pier or whatever,
Yes.
in well, not 20 feet, but
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, catapulted off the pier.
Yes. And he's dead.
Oh
He's
yeah.
dead
Oh
now.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I guess we
yeah.
don't have to worry about Harry's unconstitutional methods anymore because the guy is dead. To be fair, that would be the guy was trying to shoot him. So
Yeah,
we can
Harry could
he'll be
justify
cleared.
this one.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. This is justified. Although then he opens up his badge and he takes out his, the little inspector,
His
his star.
inspectors. Yeah,
Yeah. And he like looks at it and then he chucks it into the water with the dead guy.
flings it.
And he flings it like a ninja star.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the end
Yeah,
of Dirty Harry.
we sort of fade out and sort of pan away from him just standing there.
Yeah.
So, and then the music starts and the credits roll.
Yeah.
So
And like you
so
said, at this point, for all you knew, this was it.
this was this was the first and only movie that we knew of, so we just assumed this was a one-off, and then he did his job. He got the guy in the end, and then he was going to leave the police force, go to leave the force. So and then as a standalone, it didn't it's not like some movies obviously set themselves up for sequels. At least I didn't think so.
Yeah.
I mean, you watching this, I mean, knowing that there were others coming, did you think though at this point, I mean, they could have stopped it at this point and never made another one.
Yeah. Yeah. This is
It's
it,
not like they
it
left it
closes.
hanging,
Yeah, definitely not. Definitely not.
or at least I didn't think so. I mean, you sort of got the impression that, yeah, he was going to leave, or that was his, big kiss off to the police force.
Yeah. Yeah. And I
But you
think they
got to
kind of
wonder.
set that up too, because he's like, well, I don't know why I'm on the police force when he told Chico's
Right.
wife, right? So
Yeah.
I
Why
think
he
that would
kept.
be believable if it ended
Mhm.
here.
But, you got to me, I would have to think, well, gee, what's your career move?
Retire.
Like, what are you good at? Beating up people and shooting people. And, maybe you could have got a job with the guy that beat up Scorpio, tune somebody up for $100 or somebody or for something. So
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
got to wonder how you find people like that. Hey, by the way, do you know anybody that will beat me up for
Right.
money?
Yeah.
You might Google that, but back in those days, I don't know. I
Maybe
guess I
maybe
guess
the
those shady
personal ads.
characters all knew about each
Yeah,
other. Oh, I know a guy that'll do that, and or whatever. So
for sure. For sure.
so so were you left with feelings of the end did justify the means, or there was still some uh, qualms, about how Harry went about getting the job done?
Um, I think still some qualms because, he got this guy. Great. Uh, Perhaps we could have had him earlier before he kidnapped a bus full of children.
Yeah.
Had Harry been a little bit more by the book, perhaps. But yeah, it always makes me think like if he's like this, is he like this? He pretended to shoot a guy who had robbed a bank, which you shouldn't rob a bank, but also it's not a capital offense to rob a bank. So that's what it always my overall philosophy on like the criminal justice system prevents me from feeling that the ends justify the means. I think.
I get you. But I do think, and maybe back in this day too, I can, like the simpler times, not like the 50s and stuff, but I think a lot of people did feel that way, that, it was, like I said, Miranda was kind of new back then, and this whole thing, and then I think people sort of still expected police officers, to be tough and whatever, and then it was sort of going the other way, where the force, or the law enforcement, was going more to getting educated people. Chico had a degree, had gone to school, that guys like Harry and stuff were past, that was passe. So
Yeah. Yeah, and Harry like makes fun of him for having a degree. He's like, "Oh, don't let your college degree get killed."
Yeah, exactly.
Basically.
So yeah, it's like it's like it's not a benefit to have a college degree, you know. So, but
Yeah.
I think I know for a fact, probably when I saw it the first time, you know, like I said, I was 14, 15 years. I thought, oh, that was great. He got him in the end. Now I'm like you. I think, Harry could have done a better job,
Mhm.
but I still think the movie is very powerful. And I think it has I think I won't say it stood up real well over the test of time. I think a lot of it is dated. There's a lot of parts of it that if they remade it, it could be made better. But I still think it's a good movie, and it showcases, you know, Clint.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
So
No, I think it's like an entertaining, like I said, like
mhm,
crime thriller kind of movie.
yeah,
Um and like I
and
said, I think what did it for me is the killer cuz he was just
yeah.
oh,
There,
like makes your skin crawl a little bit.
there's never in all the other movies. There's never anybody as a villain or anything as good as this guy was. So he
Yeah.
really, when I look at this now, I think this guy should have been recognized at some point, because he really did a good job. I think,
Right. Right.
of
I
all the
mean,
people in this movie, that's the one that came across as like somebody that was like, you really think this guy's unhinged.
yeah,
So,
for
but
sure. But
well,
yeah,
I
so
appreciate you indulging, my 14-year-old uh self, for my movie.
we've indulged a lot of my 14-year-old self already, so
Yeah, but yours didn't have a lot of gratuitous nudity or violence, or
well,
so just saying. So, but
girls will be girls, I guess.
well, but again, like I said, it's a movie, and people still quote the line and so
Mhm.
on. And then I think there's a lot of people, even if they're not a fan of the movies, if you say Dirty Harry or Harry Callahan, they know who you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, for
So
sure. Like I said,
he's
I
an
hadn't seen
iconic
it,
movie
but I've
character. Yeah.
yeah, I think that like this is in the Library of Congress, National Film Registry, and like the
Oh, now that
quote,
I didn't know that.
I'm pretty sure I read that. And the quote is in like, AFI's list of like best
Oh
movie quotes
yeah.
of all time. But yeah, 2012 it was selected for the National Film Registry.
Well, I did not know that, to be honest with you, and that's
Mhm.
not, because but that makes me feel a little bit better about my pick then, that
Yeah,
I
I
did
mean, I
select
think
it.
it is like an iconic movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I think with all like iconic movies, it's always kind of, for better or for worse, right? Like there are
Yeah.
always pieces of it that are like, oh, well, it was made in 1971, like things are different then. And I think a thing that was interesting that I read was there was a lot of criticism at the time, right? People saying like this is a great movie, but like, ugh, this is
Mm-hmm.
kind of like fascist.
Yeah.
We
It's
don't
a
really
little
want to be
cringy.
rooting for like a guy that's like beating people up.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And into torture, or and likes
yeah, like Roger Ebert says, very effective at the level of a thriller, but denounced its moral position as fascist. Gene
okay.
Siskel, and like he gave it 3 out of 4 stars. Siskel gave it 4 out of 4. One of the great police thrillers of motion picture history, though he too thought that the film's message was dangerous.
Mm.
In the New Yorker, Pauline Kael wrote that Dirty Harry was a stunningly well-made genre piece, but also a deeply immoral movie. And she's basically saying like it's not actually about like the police force; it's about like the police are like emasculated by these guys in suits, kind of thing. So I think that that message, people had some pushback to it at the time, and I think that's the way I feel about it. Like I don't like love that
Yeah.
part of it, but I think that it is like a good movie. Like I think it
Yeah.
is a successful movie. And I read this quote from the director Don Siegel, who was apparently largely unbothered by the film's critics. He said, I enjoy the controversy because if you make a film that's safe, you're in trouble. I'm a liberal. I lean to the left. Clint is a conservative. He leans to the right. At no point in making the film did we ever talk politics. I don't make political movies. I was telling the story of a hard nosed cop and a dangerous killer. What my liberal friends did not grasp was that the cop is just as evil in his way as the sniper, which I
Yeah.
think is I get.
Yeah, it's almost like two sides of the mirror,
Right,
you
right. And
know.
I think like sort of shedding this idea that there is like a good guy and a bad guy in those like clear black and white terms. I
Right.
think if you can approach it that way, I think it makes that
Hmm.
easier to like take in, I think,
Yeah.
right? Like we're on Harry's side because this guy is like awful and creepy, but it's also we're not like, "Hey, Harry, everything you're doing is great."
Yeah, and in a
And
way,
the people around him also are
yeah,
like that.
yeah. He does get a dressing down, by the DA and so on and so forth, and maybe, like you said, now they would, like in Law and Order and stuff, they would go and try to do something with what they had. But maybe back then it was like that we have to show that, what Harry did was wrong,
Mhm.
that he
Mhm.
did violate, even though you don't want the guy to have rights, he does have rights. And
Yeah.
Harry did violate those.
Yeah. And I think like you said, given that like Miranda was so recent before that and Gideon, that like the rights of defendants were sort of at the forefront
Yeah.
of the legal
Yeah.
world. Like
Hmm.
it was like, hey,
Yeah.
guys,
We have to play by these rules now.
right.
Yeah,
Like
so you got to
it's
figure out how to
or
be
this is
better.
going to the Supreme Court. Like
Yeah, or you can't get by with the old methods,
mhm.
whatever that may have been. The old jokes about the rubber hoses and stuff like that, or
Yeah.
sweating somebody for 24 hours, until they finally either just said what you wanted them to say,
Mhm. Mhm.
well, but those things were,
Yeah. But I did write in my notes like without Dirty Harry, is there Elliot Stabler? And I don't think so.
that he's the
That like character would not
would oh yeah,
exist.
yeah, because you're right, because well, and you look through all I guess not all of them, but a lot of the shows, there's always going to be that, I think, that police officer or that one person who, maybe doesn't agree with the system, tries to work within the system, but then when it doesn't work, or when the
Mhm.
system works against you, then they'll bend the rules or whatever it may be. So
Mhm.
for
Or they
me, it
have this
was
idea of like there's a girl I need to save and like I rule books out the window.
Exactly, yeah. So for me, my series was NYPD Blue,
Mhm.
and for me, it was Andy Sipowicz,
Mhm.
who was that person. It was like, if he was the old school cop, and this is
Mhm.
how you get things done, or this is how, if you need to get something done in a hurry, like you said, if there was a hostage, or if there was, a time thing or whatever it may
Mhm.
be, you kind of, you skate around this sort of thing, or whatever. But you
Yeah.
know I think there's, there, but like you said, if everybody was either one way or the other, you wouldn't have the tension or the drama. So
Mhm. Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
So
Yes. So I read that the bus hostage thing actually inspired like multiple real life crimes.
what?
Yeah.
I mean,
So,
like, people actually tried to pull this off after seeing this done in the movie?
yes.
Well, that
The
sucks.
the film allegedly, there are multiple ones. The film allegedly inspired a real life crime, the Faraday school kidnapping. In October 1972, soon after the release of the movie in Australia, two armed men kidnapped a teacher and six schoolchildren in Victoria. They demanded a $1 million ransom. The government agreed to pay, but the children escaped. So the people went to jail.
Oh gosh.
So good on the kids, I guess.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. Way to be
it,
resourceful, kiddos.
right. Frederick Newhall Woods IV was inspired by the film to plan the 1976 Chowchilla kidnapping. I think there was just a documentary about that on CNN. I haven't watched it though, but they kidnapped a bus with 26 school children and its driver, and they were buried in a van in a rock quarry in Livermore, California. The students and driver escaped before the kidnappers could send their ransom demand.
So they did escape.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. And then there was but those two seem, especially the second one where it's like they went to a rock quarry.
Yeah, I mean,
That's like,
how copycat can you be?
yeah. So that's wild. And then, of course, as we discussed, the Scorpio killer has some, mostly just in name and like some letters,
Yeah, the way he
like
communicates
Zodiac,
to
and
the
being in California.
right.
Because
So
Zodiac, he like went back and forth, I think, between Northern and Southern California.
I never saw that movie about the Zodiac killer with I heard that's really good
It's
though.
a good movie. They reference this movie. That's actually like on the Wikipedia page.
Oh,
There's a
okay. I'll have to because
they reference
I like
it.
it's Jake Gyllenhaal is in that, correct?
Yes, yes. Someone's watching
Okay.
Dirty Harry in that movie, and
Oh,
they're like, "Oh," and they're talking about Zodiac, and they're like, "See, they're making movies about it already."
okay.
So that's like it's a light reference, but it's a little
Okay.
Easter egg. But
Oh, there
it's
you
a
go.
good movie. That's another movie where like there's a part where like I don't want to spoil it, but there is a part where like you're around someone who might be the Zodiac killer, and it's just like,
Mm,
oh, like
really, really
skin crawling tension.
cringy is I like to say. It's like
It's
yeah, just
and it's not like, yeah, cringy in like a like, oh my God, I'm so uncomfortable way. Yes.
yeah.
One of my favorite David Fincher movies for sure. But yeah, I just thought it was interesting reading that like there are all these other bus kidnappings
That's
after this
terrible.
movie. I was like,
I'm
oh my God. Although
what
apparently the people were not very good at it, because in both cases the kids got
the kids
away. So
escape. So
good for
yeah,
the
so
kids, but
the more
still.
resourceful. But you
Yeah.
sit there and you think, what I guess nobody had ever thought about kidnapping a school bus before, and then of course, then they what 20
Also, the
years
guy in the movie was not successful.
right? Yeah, exactly. So it wasn't like oh well that ended up well, or gee he had this figured out so well that it's going to work every time. Um,
Right. But yeah, so I think this movie, the villain really sold it for me, but I think, this idea of like a kind of bending the rules cop who's just like hard-nosed, gruff, trying to get the guy sort of by any means necessary, I think is like not an unfamiliar
No, yeah, this
trope.
might, yeah, this
Um,
wasn't the first one to go down that path, but
yeah.
for whatever reason, I don't know if people just needed somebody like that. I sort of liken it to maybe the phenomena of James Bond. It was like they
Mhm.
were they're looking for a character to latch onto that they will be the champion of justice or whatever it may be,
Yeah, yeah, and I
and then
think this
Harry
is
was for a lot of people was that guy. So
right. And I think this is a time where like there are serial killers like
yeah,
operating,
yeah,
and like crime is like violent crime, I think peaked between the 70s and 90s, so like
yeah.
violent crime's probably rising, so I think that maybe that might have resonated with people in a different way than it would now, right? Like the
Oh, sure.
conversations that we have about police right now are very different, so I think that this would not um or he would like be a villain.
Oh, exactly.
Um
Harry would be the bad guy. I mean, not
yeah.
that but Harry, and in a way, he like you said, in
Yeah.
a lot of the reviews, there was a lot of people that thought that way. So,
Yeah. So
you
I
know,
think he would be more explicitly a bad guy now. But yeah, I think that I can see like the context when this came out, that it might
hmm
resonate with people to want someone who to just like kind of take things into their hands and be like, all right, we're gonna
yep,
get this guy. Right.
exactly.
Because there is this uncertainty about like the Zodiac killer is around. It's operating
Yeah,
at that time. And then there's lots of other ones um popping up.
yeah. I guess there was a lot of that going around, or just and whether it was a copycat thing, or just there was people just had really, really, strange ways about them and decided that they needed to kill people. Son of Sam,
Mm-hmm.
killer in New
Mm-hmm.
York, at that time was, it was like, the same sort of, you know, thing where you just randomly just, kill people for, no reason other than the fact that someone you think is telling you to kill them or whatever it may be. So,
Yeah, and you had like the Manson family before that,
oh
other
yeah,
stuff.
exactly. So,
So I think this idea that maybe you want somebody to just like, you know,
like Rick
take
Dalton
somebody, take them out.
in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Oh yes, yes, yes. For a second, I was like, who? I was like, I know that name.
I love that
Yes,
movie.
Brad
I
Pitt.
know a lot of people
I
that I
I thought
love
it
that
was so
movie.
long.
You know
That was
what?
my main gripe with it. I
Yeah,
was sitting there like, good God.
I got to tell you, that's one of those movies that is on my list as far as a recent movie. Every time it's on TV, I got to watch that movie, and it's not just Brad Pitt. It's Leonardo's performance. It's
Mhm.
the whole story.
Yeah.
I love how they took it and they sort of made it into a different ending and stuff, like what
Mhm.
would have happened.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, so it's just, it's just one of those movies to me. I just always enjoy that, so the interaction with the Manson family with Brad Pitt's character, and
Mhm.
but anyway, so well, I'm
Yeah.
glad you enjoyed it, and then
Mhm.
I hope our listeners, gee, if you're of younger generation, if you haven't watched Dirty Harry, would you say at least try to or give it a
Mhm.
try?
Yeah, I think so. I think, like I
Okay,
said, it's an entertaining movie. Once again, not long. It's less than 2 hours. It's like hour
it is.
45.
Yeah.
Um, and I think it keeps you engaged. Watch it, I would say, at least for the villain, because
Mm-hmm.
he is like a really good villain.
He
And
really
I feel like you
is.
don't hear about that, but I'm here to tell you. He was super creepy, made me uncomfortable in a way that like I think a villain like this should. He really sold it for me.
Well, good. And yeah, like you said, and with with all the other stuff, I hate to say it, with all the other stuff going on today, just today,
Yeah.
right in our own backyard now,
Mhm.
you know,
Mhm.
at schools. So
Yeah. Yeah.
anyway,
So it's a rough stuff. But yeah, like he's really entertaining. Like I said, I do get like shades of the Joker from him.
I never thought about that till you just
Uh
said that, but
that
yeah,
I think that
I
just
could see
like
that.
sense of like chaos and just like manic energy, wild kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, be
And like
interesting to.
the kind of like the weird voice too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, like you think of like the joke, "Ah, did anybody ever tell you I got these scars?" Like
Oh
that. And
yeah,
then this guy's voice when he's like, I need a lawyer. Like that. It's you know what I mean? Like that I think is where it like got me a little bit. That comparison like sticks out to me and
that's a great point.
it yeah, I wonder.
Yeah, you got to wonder if anybody that had looked at that role and drawn something from that and used it in maybe not in Joker per se, but in other roles. That'd be interesting to find out, to see if anybody else you know looked at his performance and thought, boy, that's really good, or that's convincing, or that's interesting.
Or
So
that's like the energy, yeah, that
yeah,
I wanna
yeah,
have. Like
sure.
this is someone who's like enjoying this in like a kind of crazy kooky way.
Well, like Harry told him, he says he'll kill again because he likes it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he and he
Mhm.
did. He liked it. So
Yeah. Although now I'm thinking like if this is Criminal Minds, there would never be a killer that is both a sniper and would take
a bus full of
a
children.
bus full of children. No, because
Oh,
usually
oh,
snipers, there's a reason why they're far away, you know?
they don't want to get close to their victims.
Mhm. And they
Oh,
might lack the social skills to get close to their victims. That
oh,
was that's what the profilers would say.
oh. See, there
So
you
I mean
go.
that's an
What?
interesting piece of it too.
Well, there you go. So
But this person also seemed very all over the place.
yeah,
So
that's true. Yeah.
maybe
So
he could be like a sort of mixed type in that way.
he would be the one that wouldn't fit into the little profile
Yes. It
window
would be
so
they would have
readily.
trouble. He would be like the villain of like the whole season instead of
Yeah,
one they catch in an episode.
there you go. Yeah. He'd be
Yeah.
the long standing guy who's always just out of reach. So,
Yeah.
so
Exactly.
okay. Well, thanks
Well,
for summing up the movie, and again, thanks for watching the my selection, and
of course. As
not
of course.
not berating me for again. Jim doesn't pick these movies based on
No. It is Don Siegel's fault. Don Siegel, the director, and the
exactly.
writers,
Yeah.
the Finks, one of whom is the woman,
Oh,
Mrs. Fink.
really?
What's your problem? Yes.
Well,
Harry
maybe
Julian
she,
Fink and R.M. Fink, husband and
maybe
wife.
she maybe she felt that she had to put that in order to get the movie made. I don't know.
Yeah. And maybe she didn't. Maybe they were like, she writes like you see her dead body and
Right, and
Don
then
Siegel decided that it was going to be a naked one.
naked girl. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So,
okay. So if you can put that aside, then and then watch the movie and its for the whole
Yes.
story. And as you so aptly put it, yeah, watch for the performance of the villain. So
Yeah, and he's an actor that like I didn't know that I've never seen in anything else. So like
I,
I don't
yeah,
know if he had a much of a career after this, but this one was quite a performance.
yep.
Um
Something
Zodiac.
Robinson,
Andy Robinson.
Andy Robinson.
Yes, Andy Robinson played Scorpio. So
Okay.
again, he's not someone that I ever
We'll have to start looking for other things that
yeah.
he's done.
It
So,
looks like he was in Hellraiser and he
ooh,
played someone on Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
oh, okay. Is he still alive?
Yeah, he's 82.
Man, well, how old's Clint?
Clint has got to
90?
be in his late 80s at least.
I
He
thought,
is 94.
there you go.
His birthday's the day after mine. He's a Gemini. Woohoo.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, I can't not say this. I will say, besides Million Dollar Baby, do you know the role that stands out to me most from Clint Eastwood?
No.
It's the 2012 RNC when he was yelling at that chair and pretending it was Barack Obama. That's like the other piece of him that lives in my head. Remember that?
Yes, I do now
When he
that
was
you
like
mentioned it. I
lecturing the
forgot all about
chair
that. Yes, yes.
as if Barack
And
Obama was sitting in the chair.
I actually felt kind of bad because I thought maybe that was the point where maybe Clint should have had an evaluation at some point. So, just say it. So it didn't come across it very well, but I do remember seeing that now that you
No.
mentioned it. I'd
I
forgotten all
remember it
about
because then
that.
I went to grad school the next day and I was going to like a seminar and there was an empty chair there at first and I was like, "Oh my God, it's Barack Obama."
Got all
Yeah.
about that too. You just mentioned it, but I do
Yeah.
remember that. So,
So that's sort of a that looms large in my mental picture of Clint Eastwood,
well,
unfortunately.
there you go. So, all right.
But well, that's all for Dirty Harry. Thank you everyone for listening. Please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. You can leave us a rating or review, especially if it's nice. If it's not nice, maybe you can write it in your diary or something.
Mm.
You can follow us on Instagram at Some of Our Parts Pod. You can see all the other movies that we've talked about so far, and we like to post little hints about what's coming next. That's it for us this week. With that, bye bye.
Take care.